right, welcome to another Friday night episode of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and to my left or right is my carnivore co-host, Brian Damage Forsythe of Kix and Rhino Bucket. And we're just glad to be with you guys tonight. How's things going, Brian?
Pretty good considering.
Okay. You want to talk about considering, or just we sort of move right on?
No, we can talk about it.
All right. Well, why don't you share with everybody what considering means to you?
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's heard by now, but you know, the Kix band had a brush with the COVID thing, and you know, early on we all like had to get tested, and my initial test came up negative, so I thought, oh, okay, I'm cool. And then over the weekend, it felt like I had a cold or something,
right?
And it progressively sort of set in, and so I went and got one of those home test things just to see. You know, it's like, just as a backup to the original test, and so I did that, and it came up positive. So I'm like, oh man. So I made another appointment at this clinic on Monday, and it confirmed it. I am positive. So luckily, it was nothing worse than like a cold. And it's already like subsided, except I guess you could probably hear it in my voice a little bit. But
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I've lost my taste and smell, which is a bummer. I'm making bone broth. Where's my arm? My crock pot back there, and I cannot smell it. I'm sure the whole house smells like bone broth right now, but
yeah, it's a great smell. I love the smell of bone broth when that aroma just permeates the air in your home. I love it when we're doing that.
Well, yeah, and normally when I'm making the bone broth, it'll wake me up like early in the morning, like and I'll wake up hungry because I'm smelling that, but it has no effect on me right now.
I wonder how long it takes for that. It'd be interesting to find out how long it takes for you to regain your smell and your taste.
Yeah, well, I hope it's not too long because, I mean, even my coffee, I can't smell that or taste it, and it's like, oh, man,
well, this is
so fun.
Well, this is your opportunity to get rid of all the crap food you have in the house that doesn't taste very good, because if you can't taste it, you might as well just devour it and use it up. But,
yeah, that's funny because Shannon actually said, oh, now you can just dig through your freezer and get stuff that you don't like and just make it and eat it. She goes, maybe you should make that tongue. And it's like, but I don't know if I don't like it, and I don't want to make it and not know.
Well, save a little bit, make it, try it, and say, okay, it tastes pretty good when I'm in this condition, and then try it when you regain your taste buds.
Yeah. But it's nice to be able to taste something when you're cooking it, to make sure you're doing it right,
That's true. That's true. That's got to feel weird. Has that ever happened in your life where you've lost your taste and smell?
I don't know. I was trying to think back to having a normal cold. Do you maybe lose your smell? I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that's what it just feels like. My sinuses are numb. So it's
really
weird.
That's really odd. So when does Kix play next? When do you guys resume your touring schedule?
Well, we had to cancel that initial week, which was Minnesota and Chicago, 2 shows, and we thought we could just jump back on because that gave Steve long enough to recover, and then I came up positive, so it was like, oh, we can't travel. I can't travel. It just wouldn't be right to be around like the crew guys and family too. So we had to cancel out again. And I think by this weekend, the rest of the guys all came up negative. So it was just Steve and I. So after this weekend, both him and I will be in the clear. So we'll be able to resume.
Well, I know you guys, I don't remember ever Kix canceling a show. So is this the first time you guys have ever had to cancel on your side of the...
Yeah, and it's a bummer because I could have done the show. I didn't feel that bad, but it's just the fact that it's COVID and we just couldn't do it. And yeah, calling in sick to a gig is just the worst decision. It's like, well, really? I've never called in sick. So,
No, the show always goes on, and so I know
yeah.
how you guys are like have a Cal Ripken streak going there. You guys have been playing what nonstop for 40 years, and
Yeah,
well,
pretty much.
everything. Yeah. So anyway, so what else have you been? So now that you've been at home for 2 weeks, you've been working on any cooking projects besides making your bone broth back there in your crock pot?
Not really. I'm trying to think of the last thing. I did some ribs a little while ago, but I did a steak yesterday. But like over the weekend when I did have that full blown cold, I had this horrendous headache that went along with it. I just didn't feel like eating, so I ate like leftovers, just sort of picking at stuff. Nothing that I even like bothered to take a photo of. And the last day, well, the first thing I actually cooked after all that was that scramble with the salmon and scallops in it. But before that, the day before that, I think I had a half a jar of bone broth and some pork rinds. That was what I ate.
That was it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did do a little thing of pork belly chunks. I
Ooh.
smoked those, so they're in there. I've only eaten a few of them, but that's another bummer. They look so good, and I put them in my mouth, and it's just like nothing. I can't taste this.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Well, I actually have been experimenting. I think I told you this off the air. Peggy and I had picked up or was gifted this amazing butter from France. I mean, it's
Oh
just
yeah.
truly amazing. And so one of the things that I've started doing was, and I went out yesterday after you and I spoke, and I went out and purchased some different brands of butter, and I'm really just like doing taste tests of different butters and how they compare with one another. And one of the things that I've been using butter for, and I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do it, but I've been doing wings. And since there seems to be a chicken wing shortage in the country, if you go to restaurants, at least the ones around here, all of them are telling us that they can't get wings. There's a shortage of wings across the country.
Huh.
So anytime I go to Aldi's and buy the big bag of wings, and now that I've said that, everyone's going to rush to Aldi's, and now there's going to be a shortage there. But anyway, um, but what I've been doing is I will take that butter and just put it on the stove, melt it down, and then I will put a bunch of Old Bay seasoning in there till it's like really red. And what I'll do is I'll take a not a cooking sheet, but well, I don't even know what you call it, but it's like the rack that sits on top of a cooking sheet. So I just take the rack, and then I take my tongs and I just dip the chicken wings individually into that melted butter and Old Bay seasoning, and just really coat them really well. And then I stick them on that rack, and then I'll fill that rack up, and then I'll take that rack and put it up on the in the Traeger and smoke them till they reach a temperature of about 170.
Hmm.
And my goodness, and I may sprinkle a little bit at the end, a little bit of Old Bay on top of them before I take them off the smoker. And I'm just telling you, they are delicious. Get yourself a bowl of blue cheese and just dip those wings in the blue cheese, and that's a home run. So those are looking for a easy meal to fix where it doesn't take much time in prep work, and you just got to wait for them. It takes about an hour to get them to 170 on the Traeger. But I'm just telling you, I've been thoroughly enjoying my Old Bay wings, smoked wings. And then another project I did, and I think I shared it on Facebook, is our friend Steve Stepanek sent me two tomahawks, two 34-ounce tomahawks.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I didn't know how I was going to prepare them, but I woke up Sunday morning, and they already come from Kansas City Steak Company, and they're vacuum sealed in their bags. So I had put them in the fridge the night before and just let them kind of thaw out. And Sunday morning I woke up about 5:30, and what I did was I cut them out of their packages, and then I have one of those vacuum seal machines that you can vacuum seal your leftovers and food. So what I did is I took those out, I put salt and pepper on the tomahawks, added a couple slices of butter, and then I vacuum sealed them and took those bags, and then I stuck my sous vide them in a big old pot at 130 degrees for about 6 hours. So I just stayed in there for 6 hours at 130 degrees. Then I pulled those out, had cranked up the smoker, put them on the smoker for about 20 minutes and just finished them on the smoker. And something else I'm leaving out here. So I also took the amino acids, coconut MCT oil that's comes in a container. I should have had it here so I could show everybody, but I took that, put that in a metal cup and added raw horseradish, stirred that up, and then I add a little bit of bourbon just because I wanted a wood flavor that it burned off. And I took that combination, I put that on the Traeger about an hour before I put the tomahawks on there because I wanted to get that smoky flavor infused in the sauce. And when I put the tomahawks on, I took my brush and I brushed all that on the tomahawk and smoked them for about 20 minutes. And when I pulled them off, I kid you not, they were absolutely some of the best pieces of meat we've ever had. Peggy goes, man, this is the best piece of meat we've had in for a long time. So I would rate that right up there with the prime rib from Old Town Seafood. It was par with that, but that was just a great flavor. And so in the future, I'm going to do my tomahawks like that because it just came out. In the pictures you can see it came out perfect. I mean, I couldn't have done it any better. So cool. It was a great meal, and thanks again to Steve. And next time, send me more, and we'll have you over, and you can share in the food. But it was a great meal. Looking to experiment more with that type. I've been this an experimental phase lately. So I actually made a keto pizza yesterday. I've been making those lots lately, but I did something differently yesterday. And I don't mean to hog this segment, Brian, but I'm just, as they're in my head, I want to get them out. But the other thing I did was I took the Mama Lupe tortilla shells is what I use for my my crust, and I took those and I put that good butter on the back of it, and I put that down on the rack, and then I did my organic tomato paste where I added Italian seasoning, garlic, Parmesan cheese as a base to spread that all over, and then I put mozzarella cheese on it, and then I put green peppers, red peppers, onion, pepperoni slices, and bacon on top of it. And I took the rack and I decided to do something different, and I turned the Traeger on at smoke, and I put that on the Traeger, and I smoked the pizza in hickory smoke, and then I cranked it up to 325, I believe, and left it in there for about 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, it came out great. The tortilla shells became very crisp, and it had a oaky smoke flavor to it on the pizza, and the pizza was melted perfectly. I don't know if I posted pictures yesterday about it or not, but if I didn't, I'll include them on this segment here so you guys can take a look at the finished product. But
yeah, I think I saw photos of it.
Yeah, well, there, just go to my Facebook page and you can see it. But man, that came out so good. I love brick oven pizzas, as you know, back before I went keto, and so it really gave that flavor and that crispiness on the crust. So yeah, so anybody who wants a keto recipe or keto pizza, that's one way of doing it. So, speaking of one way to do it, how are you coming along in your book, Brian?
Still very slowly.
What page are you on? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. I sort of started at the front again, so I'm going back through it again.
But you bought a hard copy this time, right? So instead of the Kindle version, you're going.
Oh, you asking me about that book?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not gonna bother you. I got too many people saying that was giving you high anxiety to ask you about the book you're gonna do. So your defenders have come to your defense, and so I'm talking about the book you're actually reading, not writing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, the one about the guts. Yeah, I haven't read it at home here. It's funny because I do most of my reading when I travel, and then I get home and I kind of forget. But I did get the hard copy of the book. The print is so small though; it's like a pain to try to read it.
Yeah, it's a thick book. If let me see if you can see, it's a thick book. I mean, it is. He's absolutely correct on that. I'm trying to so you guys can see it, but it's a pretty thick book.
But it's very informational. It's got so much, yeah, so much good information. It's hard to absorb it all.
Yeah, I would highly recommend if you know anyone or even you yourself may be experiencing or have experienced any type of gut issue. I would highly recommend you get this book and really dive into it because the answer is in your gut, and this book helps point you to that direction of what you may be able to do.
Yeah.
Because one of the things it says is, all diseases stem from your gut, and if your gut's not balanced properly, you're going to open yourself up to diseases. And so, I would highly recommend everyone who puts a priority on their health to
Yeah,
get this book.
it's crazy. Yeah, the way and we inherit our initial like gut behaviors from our mother. It's passed on. So if she's got any problems, it's going to end up with you, and then however food affects the child, that it sort of morphs it into their own problems. That it's just weird. It's just it like I can't see how anyone could get by with no gut problems because there's always going to be something.
Yeah, it appeared, and especially in this day and age, because you know so much food is highly processed that we consume as a country, and the whole GMO food and all these pesticides that we use to grow food, all of that eventually ends up in your gut, and
Mm.
and it's probably, I mean, I haven't got to the point where she's pointing this out, but just my guess is the fact that most of the issues that we're dealing with here in America in regards to health comes from us um, devouring or consuming way too much highly processed food or with steroids or um, uh, pesticides and stuff that ends up in our gut that destroys the good flora that's in our gut.
Well, yeah, and that's just part of it. I mean, that and then all the pharmaceuticals and the pharmaceuticals themselves, but then through the food, the animals that they ingest this stuff, or they're given like the antibiotics and the hormones, and that all comes through also. So I mean, yeah, like antibiotics. She does mention there's a time and place for them, but even low dose antibiotics will they mess up the cell walls and stuff. In like I can't remember. There's so many different. There's like the bacteria. There's um, the microbes. There's the like different things that are in your gut, and they all work together. Like you can't really say, well, that one's bad, that one's good. They all have to be there, and they all work together to create this environment. And it's like I think I mentioned it before. It's like the soil. It's filled with all kinds of stuff, and it all works together to make things grow. And so that's how the guts work. And things like antibiotics, or I mean, there's a lot of stuff that affects it, but she was talking about how it will mess with the cell walls of some of these things, and they've learned to live without a actual cell wall, and then they can morph into different things, and that's how a person becomes, or like a virus becomes immune to certain antibiotics because they learn to morph themselves into something else and get around it. So that's why it doesn't affect it anymore. And the reason they do that is because that's what the antibiotics cause them to lose their cell wall so they can change. It's weird how that it's all affected, and it's kind of, I mean, there's so much that she talks about. I can't even wrap my mind around it, you know?
Absolutely. She goes in, I'm just looking at it right now, page 25. She talks about your gut wall is covered by very special cells. And she's got some name for that, which I'm not going to even try to butcher
Right.
on this show. But, one of the things she talks about is cell regeneration, and it is a wonderful gift to us from nature. It allows our bodies to heal any damage, regenerating and rejuvenating itself. She also says that gut flora is the housekeeper of our digestive system, and that if your gut flora is strong, diverse, and healthy, it will protect you. People who are blessed with such healthy soil have a strong constitution, able to withstand many assaults from the environment, poor diet, starvation, stress, and overwork. But as soon as their gut flora is damaged, even mild influences can damage their health. So you heard Brian saying that. So, one of the things that I realized, and it's, causing me to realize as well, like, even if you're a carnivore, the meats that we get, if they're not like organic and antibody or pesticide free, those things are also getting into our gut now, so they can, even the slightest pesticide can build up over time and cause you issues. So even if you are eating right, you very well can be causing yourself issues. And that's the beauty of learning about just how important your gut flora is. And then,
yeah, I was going to add to that too. But she mentions if it is healthy, we do have the capability of dealing with a lot of those toxins and stuff,
Right. So you imagine yourself going on to a 3-day fast or reset, or any type of fasting to reset, and then also to replenish and eat that organic foods into your body, free from pesticides, and build that up, get to the point where you can build that up. And so then your body, as Brian just said, is able to withstand those different assaults from in minute amounts. You're not, just eating and putting that in your body. But the reality of it is, again, as we say all the time, you have the ability. The body is just so amazingly designed for you to be able to withstand those type of assaults, and we just need to realize that and give our chance. You've heard this saying many times, give our bodies a fighting chance in dealing with these things that for a lot of people get it takes them down. So it's an amazing book that Brian recommended to me, and it's truly it's going to take me a while to go through it, and I'm not in no hurry because I really just want to be able to digest all of the information that she provides, which it's quite substantial.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, it's that time of the evening where we get a chance to check in with Mr. Brian Shanker of the Meat Tribe YouTube channel for Meat Deals of the Week. So, Brian, what do you got for us this week?
All right, I've got a lot of deals that I'm going to go over. Food Lion, we've got some boneless whole Boston pork butt for 99 cents a pound. I think that's the best price we've seen on that. We might have had that once before. They've also got some choice grade bone-in T-bone steaks for $6.99 a pound. And that's I think the cheapest price I've seen for T-bones as well. So Food Lion's got those deals. They run through the 21st of September. Aldi's got a couple of good deals. They've got some choice grade boneless Black Angus ribeye or strip steaks. A little bit more expensive. They're $12.89 a pound. Is that too expensive for you, Jim?
No, it's at the ceiling for me. I don't like to go past that.
Yeah, I figure Aldi seems to be priced a little bit higher than most of the other stores. A little bit higher than Harris Teeter. So Harris Teeter, we've got the rancher grade bone-in porterhouse and T-bone steaks. The value pack is $7.99 a pound, and the small pack is $8.49 a pound. Harris Teeter also has some choice grade bone-in porterhouse and T-bone steaks, and that's going to bump up the price just a little bit from the rancher grade at $9.99 a pound. And they've got some prepackaged one steak per package. It's the Strauss grass-fed filet mignon steak, and that's $8.99 per package. So I'm tempted to go out and see those. A lot of times with those prepackaged deals, though, they're going to be real thin, and you're not going to be able to ask the butcher to give you a thicker cut there because they're prepackaged and shipped in. But not a bad price. And then Harris Teeter, finally, they've got some two different pork butts. So they've got a Smithfield all natural Boston butt pork roast for $1.29 a pound, and then the Harris Teeter all natural pork Boston butt for $1.30 a pound, one whole penny more. So you got three different pork butt options, one at Food Lion and two at Harris Teeter. And then the last deal that I've got for you guys, Kroger, Brian, they've got some, I don't think you eat very much ground beef, but they've got some 80% lean fresh Angus ground chuck at $2.99 a pound. And then they've got some choice grade boneless strip steak family packs for $12.99 a pound.
I do eat ground beef.
Okay.
But I usually go for the 73.27?
Yeah. I saw that somewhere. Shoot, where did I just see that? There was one of the stores had that, but I don't think if it was one of the stores down near you. So let me ask you guys, I'm always telling in my reports the different great USDA grades of the cuts of meat. Do you particularly pay attention to the USDA grade when you're buying, or?
Yeah.
I don't like at Kroger, but I will at Costco. I'll go for the prime.
Okay.
It's a little more expensive, but it is better actually, especially for something like a brisket.
Okay.
Yeah, I never. Yeah, I don't. I just actually look at how it's marbled in the package and go, that's a good piece of meat right there.
That I do that too. I try to stay away from Select as much as possible because there's typically not much marbling in that. But I'm like you, Jim. I typically I'll look at the cut of meat, and sometimes it'll be labeled as choice, and it'll have a good deal of marbling that you'd think it should have been labeled as prime.
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys in the back, are like apprentices, and I just think they get in a hurry. So I've got some great cuts of meats that were not prime. So
yeah, for me, yeah, it all comes down to the shape and the what the meat looks like and feels like, and because I'll buy the briskets from Costco, but then Kroger will have them on sale, and I'll just go through a pile of them. You got both too.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, this is a great time. I don't mean to interrupt Brian's segment, but man, fruit flies are like at an all-time high around here lately. And I got some friends. They have the Sports Junkies on their program. Their studio's been flooded with fruit flies for like months now. It's like, and same here. And I noticed, Brian, is it fruit flies that you have, Brian?
Yeah, but I know where they're coming from. They're coming from the cat grass.
Okay. But have you had that problem before? Is that just okay? All right.
Yeah, I put the cat grass on the porch, but I have the porch door cracked open, so they're coming in here.
Gotcha. What about you, Mr. Shanker? You got fruit fly problems over there in Maryland?
I brought a bunch of peaches back from my mom's house the other week, and when they started going bad, I noticed there was a fruit fly flying around in the house, and we got rid of all the peaches, and they went away.
Now, it was my understanding when I was in biology and we did the fruit fly experiment, don't fruit flies have a life expectancy of like 24 hours?
Yeah, not very long. Yeah, I even have little traps with the apple cider vinegar and dishwashing liquid set around down by where Smoky stuff is.
Yeah, we have those too. They look like a little tomato. They're red, and that's got little holes in it. And you that's what we do, and they go in there and supposedly.
Well, I have the homemade version.
Oh, okay. Our son Trent purchased these for us. They're supposed to be. We have them scattered throughout, but I don't know how effective they are. I guess.
So back to what you were saying, Jim, how you think sometimes the guys back there cutting are apprentices. I think that too, because sometimes I've seen like at Costco and Sam's Club, the prime grade, and I'm like, there's no way that could be considered prime because there's not enough marbling in it. And like Brian was saying, at Costco and Sam's Club too, when you look at prime grade, a lot of times those steaks, they're really heavily marbled, and they're like at I don't know if you can see that at Costco, they're pretty thick.
Yeah.
They're like almost 2 inches thick a lot of times, aren't they, Brian?
Yeah, they're not. They're a nice cut.
Yeah, and Sam's Club is a little bit thinner cut the way they do. Theirs is usually about 1 inch to 1.25 inches, which is what I kind of prefer.
Yeah, I never forget my grandfather on my dad's side. They owned a seafood market in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I never forget that when they used to go out in the morning and fish and net fish, they go up there with the big commercial nets or whatever. They come back, they would bring back a ton of spots. And my grandfather taught me this lesson. Now watch this, and they had this big wooden shelving, and they put all that crushed ice and stuff on it. And they'd have all the fish laid out like a real seafood market back in the day. And he would put those spots on the opposite end. If he came from the same net, he would put the spots on one end and then put another. And he said, now watch this. I'm just going to show you how people think. He would price one, like let's just say 99 cents a pound. And then he'd price the other one at $1.79 a pound. And the $1.79s would always sell out first because people thought they were getting a better quality of fish, but they came from the same body of water and from the same catch. And he just said, watch this, because this is what people believe. And I want you to just learn something. And so that just triggered that memory. So,
Yeah, that just goes to show you, more expensive doesn't necessarily mean better.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Just means you're just paying more. So anyway, didn't mean to interrupt you there, Mr. Shanker.
That's okay. That's all I had. And I just wanted to talk to you guys to see if you were paying attention to USDA grades or not, or if you're kind of like me, it's mixed, where you might go for prime, but you're really looking at the quality. Anyway, that's all I have for you.
All right. Well, we will look forward to seeing you next Friday. And if people want to catch your channel, where would they go, Brian?
Head on over to YouTube for the Meat Tribe channel for a full weekly meat deal update. Meat Tribe is one word, no spaces. When you get there, like the videos, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so you're notified every time I'm uploading a new video. And that's also got a Facebook page as well, Meat Tribe, or you might have to search Brian's Meat Tribe. So I'm in both Facebook and YouTube.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you next Friday. Thanks for those deals, and people get out there and check out his channel and subscribe to his channel. And we'll see you next Friday, Brian.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. We'll see you. Talking about quite substantial. How's Smokey doing? Brian?
She's doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's probably like, hey, he's back home for nonstop for a while. That feels
Yeah. In fact, I noticed like when I'm in and out a lot, I mean, she still eats well, but she'll, she's always leaving some in her dish and not finishing. But now when I'm here past a week, it seems she gets really comfortable, and like now her bowl is completely empty. She polished it off.
Yeah, it's weird because Smokey does the same thing. Like if we're not here, like if we have to go away for a couple days and we leave them behind, he doesn't like to eat. It's like they're depressed. I don't know what it is. Or they're depressed, or they go, hey, this food's got to last me for a long time, so I'm gonna wait till I'm really in starvation mode to eat it.
Yeah, I don't. It maybe a combination, like depression or anxiety. Because it's funny because her behavior sort of goes in cycles, and it's always around a weekend, like leading up to a weekend. I think she's ready for me to like leave again, and I can tell. But now that I didn't leave this past weekend, she's like, oh, okay, maybe he's home. And she relaxes a little bit more.
You're keeping her on her paws.
Yeah.
Where does Kix play next? Let me just go back, and I know I'm all over the place at the moment, but where does Kix play next?
This coming week, it's a show in New Jersey, Vineland, New Jersey, the Landis Theater.
Well, I know you got a bunch of friends up in that area, so it should be a well-attended show.
Yeah, it'll be good. And as a bonus, I'm staying like an extra day, so I'm going to drive up to Brooklyn, New York.
Really?
And my old hairdresser from LA now is in New York. And Monday is her off day, so I'm going to her apartment. She's gonna cut my hair, so I'm gonna get my old hairdresser haircut back.
Well, that's awesome. That's gonna be exciting. Now she just moved out here from LA.
No, she moved out when I was still back there, but she was doing this thing where she moved to New York, and then she would come back to LA like for a couple weeks at a time here and there. So I kept getting my hair cut whenever she was in town. And then once I moved here to Nashville, I was in neither place. You know, she's still bouncing back and forth, but it'll be cool. It's gonna be a nightmare for her though, because I've been cutting my own hair. She's gonna look at it and go, "Oh, man." You know, I know it's a hairdresser's nightmare when that happens.
I'm sure you give her plenty to work with. You can go visit some of your old stomping grounds and go where you used to pick up some of your wardrobe from. You're gonna go visit.
I don't know if I'll have that much time because I have to make it up there, have her do my hair, and then I got to beeline it back to the Philadelphia airport to get out.
Is that that's where you're flying into and out of? Is that the
Yeah.
Well, what else have you been doing on your? Well, since we broached the subject, how is the book coming along?
Still slow. It's still slow.
You said you thought I was talking about that book in regards to the gut book. So you say you're starting it back from the beginning. Are you going through like this is your final review, or is this a final pre-review?
Well, I had done the first half to begin with, as far as corrections go, and I got through that, and I gave it back to Steve to put it to edit, and then he gave me the last. Well, it was going to be the last half, but it was longer than the front half, so it was like the last 2/3. And I got pretty much through that, and then I'm like, well, I should have the whole thing just so I could read it through and read it in context, because it's kind of weird. There's one of those little bugs. It's weird to, read the end, and then the thing was, my correction style changed as I went along. I got a little bit more picky here and there where, I would let things slide at the front. So I thought, well, I should go back and see how I did the front and make sure that's right. So now I got the whole thing. So it's just a time-consuming process.
Are you adding any more chapters to the book since?
I haven't, but that's another reason, because I couldn't remember exactly what was in there. Like, did I tell that story? Like, stories come up and I go, oh, that should be in the book. And I'm like, did I actually have that in the book? Or maybe I should put that in there. So, that's another thing I can do.
Well, I know everybody's eager, and I say eager. I think you have a lot of fans who are going to want to read your book and hear your stories. I know the stories that you do tell are hilarious, but I know they're just more than just your life has definitely made an impact on people. So I think the book's going to do the same thing. So
hopefully, yeah, that's hopefully.
So anyway, future cooking projects that you're going to work on?
God, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm sort of taking it as it goes these days, but yeah, it was funny because when we were talking to Brian Shanker about the meat deals and stuff, I do, occasionally when the like briskets are on sale or something at Kroger, even though I've got several in my freezer, every time they go on sale, I dig through that pile and I'll find one that's like, oh man, and I'll just buy it. So now I've got like, I don't know, 4 briskets down there in my freezer. Plus I got some leftovers from the last one I made that are still in the upstairs freezer.
Wow. Yeah, you got a lot. That's the same way I am. I just can't pass up a good deal. But the beef prices are really up there. And I know Brian talking about ground beef prices. Costco's got really good ground beef. I think there's like $3.99 a pound for, I want to say it's 93.7 or 90.10, but it's a high meat to fat ratio. And it's $3.99 a pound. It's a good price, but you can get the 73.27 always at a pretty decent price, below $3. So
yeah, and they have those. They come in those big tubes, and the ones at Kroger, they have the humongous ones. I forget how many pounds they are.
And you got a birthday coming up. I just realized that. When's your birthday, Brian?
Oh, the 30th.
30th is the last day of this month. Okay.
Yeah.
I just realized I remember it's September, so September 30th. So I'm sure you'll get a lot of birthday meats sent your way on that day. But if somebody was watching our show for the first time, what bit of advice would you give them, Brian?
Can you read that? Eat your meat.
Eat your meat. Absolutely. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in with us. We hope you will join us again next Friday. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and stay out of that hospital.
Yes.
We'll see you guys next Friday, everybody.